Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to ITPS I'm for Fun with me, Dennis Speigel. Happy to have you here today. We've got a wonderful representation again from around the world. We have over 14 countries on, and we're currently over about 121 participants, and fully represented from Latin and South America. So welcome, amigos. Today, episode 4, I'm going to be talking with my longtime buen amigo, Rene Aziz, who's CEO and president of Grupo Divertido. Rene, I asked him to come on a few weeks ago, and I wanted him to discuss the Mexican Latin American attractions industry outlook and discuss the current status, both short and long term, forecast for the future of Mexico and Latin America. And we'll focus on the COVID virus and what that has, the impact it's had on Mexico. But before I get started, I'd like to open with a hot topic. And the hot topic today, as everyone in the industry knows, is the bombshell that Governor Newsom in California dropped on the leisure and theme park industry. Yesterday, there was an announcement that the amusement parks can only open by colored tier systems and based on the number of new cases per day in the areas where they are. Larger parks like Disney, Universal, Knott's Berry Farm cannot open until their county reaches tier 4 or has a minimal spreading of the virus. Smaller parks under 15,000 in capacity, we're told that they can only open by tier 3 or moderate spreading of the virus. And even then, they're limited to only 500 people at one time. So just unrealistic guidelines that have been set by the California government. I think it's really interesting to note that the governor sent a small task force of people to Florida just 2 weeks ago to visit Walt Disney World and Universal. And this obviously comes very late in the ball game. This is something, quite frankly, that should have been done 3 months ago to look at the situation and understand the practices that our industry and our leaders in the industry have put into place to ensure safety and security and have the guests show them the guests' best interest. So it's been a crazy situation in California. Who would have ever thought that we'd be approaching November and these major operations would not be open, unfairly open. If you look at the rest of the United States and you take into consideration what has been done, particularly by Disney, you'll find that there's only 2 Disney parks that aren't open, and that's California Disneyland and Hong Kong Disney, which has had a spike in their coronavirus. So too little, too late, in my opinion. Today, the California Association of Amusement Parks is going to hold a press conference at 11:30 Pacific time, where Six Flags, Cedar Fair, Disney, Universal, and Lego will participate with the executive director to discuss this situation and ask the governor to reconsider his guidelines, his unfair guidelines. So it's cost California literally billions of dollars and thousands of jobs, and it's just unrealistic. We know that California marches to the beat of a different drum, and unfortunately, this is a cadence that we don't like. So let me go leave that on the table, and let me move to the introduction of my buen amigo, Rene Aziz. Rene is a longtime friend. We've known each other over 30 years. I knew him when he was a young guy and didn't have double chins. Rene's really a wonderful person. He has a wonderful family. He is, as I said at the outset, CEO and president of Grupo Divertido. He founded that back in 1983, I believe it was. And he oversees entertainment facilities across Latin America. Rene he served on the board of directors of IAAPA for many, many years. He was chairman, actually the first Latin American chairman of IAAPA, and rightly so. He was a founding member of AMAP, the Mexican Association, and ALAP, the Latin American Association. And I'm happy to and proud to say that when I was chairman, I joined Rene and his team to help form those associations. But my most proud moment is he invited me to Mexico when he married his beautiful wife, Monica, and I signed in this book that was about 6 feet tall and gave him approval to marry her. So, and that's your biggest achievement, marrying Monica. And we all know that in the industry. So Rene, welcome to I'm4FUN.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. I wanted to open up briefly with a couple of questions, and I'm going to feed you some questions. We already have some coming in right now, Pam said. But I wanted to ask you, what do you see as the general state of the economy in Mexico right now, number one? And what impact will do you think the U.S. election have on the general Mexican economy, no matter who wins?
How are you, Danny?
Good
morning to everybody. Yeah. Well, look, we have a situation here, Mexico, very complex, because we have a president that he doesn't believe in debt. He doesn't believe in putting money into the economy in these very complicated moments. So basically, our economy is getting in a really, really bad shape. We don't have any help from the government at all. Almost
zero.
Latin America. Zero. Fuck. He doesn't believe that he has to put money on the private industries. He believes we have to take care of ourselves. And that, of course, he does not believe that I have to put money, to pour money into the economy to get it back where it needs to be. So we are in a very, very complicated situation, especially Mexico, because if you see Chile, you see Peru, you see Colombia, all of those countries are pouring money into their economy. The US, $2 trillion. In the case of Mexico, nothing at all. So it's gonna take time for us to recover. Yeah.
How stable is the Mexican government right now, and how long does your current president have to remain in office?
The Mexican president stayed for 6 years. Our president it's been for the last 2 now, 4 years to go.
4 years.
No re-election and 4 years to go. Our president has a very particular view of how to run the economy and how to run the country. He has socialist things in one side, and then he's very conservative in the money on the other side. So he has a mix of a lot of things, and by far it's a very unique and eccentric president.
We obviously see a lot of news about Mexico and the United States, and my personal take is that he leans towards the socialist side of the ledger. I don't know if you would confirm.
Yes, he does in many things. He does in many things, yes. But in the other side, the socialists are known for big spenders, and our president doesn't spend anything at all. He's a very, very conservative when you talk about money. So he has a combination of things. But yes, absolutely, yes. He's a leftist and leaning towards socialist. Yes.
Does he? What's his viewpoint towards privatizing? Does he believe in privatizing and supporting the personal businesses?
No, he does, but not privatizing anymore. In the case of energy and electricity and all those things, he's trying to get everything back to be controlled by the government. He believes that these are priority things that have to be controlled by the government. So he's trying to take back that from private industries. And so far, he hasn't moved strongly towards to start moving toward privatizing things. On the other hand, then he just signed with President Trump the new free trade agreement with Canada and the US.
Yeah.
And the free trade agreement immediately opens a legal situation that controls the potential possibility of being a socialist country. That's almost impossible because free trade agreement has a lot of issues, legal and controlling the economy to a point that he's basically trapped. He cannot move a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So you see these kinds of things. For example, a socialist president will never sign a free trade agreement, never. And our president went and signed the free trade agreement. He has this. We don't know in the end exactly where is he going to. He moves to one side and then he moves to the other.
That sounds very familiar.
There you go. Very Latin. But so when we signed with the Americans the free trade agreement, that was a very, very good news for private industry. And we are expecting, of course, that if the US continues their strong discussions with the Chinese, that is going to affect positively Mexico, because if we really start cutting the Chinese, we are the natural market to work with. So that's
sure.
Our president is thinking about that. The U.S. companies coming to Mexico and really boom the economy with that.
We think that's smart, and we think that's going to happen too. We're crossing our fingers for that.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
If you look at this crazy world we live in, and you look at these last 9 months, you heard me say in the opening statement about California, the craziness that's going on there.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about, we'll get into some positive things here in a moment, but I think it's interesting for our viewers and listeners to hear about the impact that COVID has had on Mexico. I was doing a little research, and as of yesterday, Mexico's had 855,000 positive cases. You've had just over 86,000 deaths. Good news, 728,000 Mexicans have recovered. They're on the comeback trail. But recently, over the last 14 days, Mexico's number of positive cases have increased about 4%. So you're seeing a spike like France, Italy, Spain, America is seeing. And so I'm going to pull you back, and then I'd like for you to come forward just a moment and tell us kind of what this last 8 months has been like, 9 months for you and for the Mexican. And then if you would kind of look at the Latin American industry as well.
Sure. Mexico has these populist presidents. We have one of those, like you have in the US, or Brazil has one, and they have very similar positions with COVID. They don't put masks on. They don't believe in masks, and they lie all day long about numbers, about the situation, and it's unbelievable, because now you cannot trust these politicians anymore. In the case of Mexico, we're number 4 in the world, just the US, Brazil, and India, and then it's us.
Correct.
We've been heavily affected by COVID, no? And a lot of mixed signals coming from the politicians, because the COVID affects them tremendously, no? So they want to get away from it, and they just can't. And So the industry in Mexico has severely been affected by COVID. We've been closed for the last, business started open the last 2 months, Denny. Everybody was closed for 6 months. We still have 50% of the businesses in our industry closed, completely closed. The parks, the big parks, Six Flags is opening this next Friday. It's been closed for 8 months now.
Reno Ventura.
Yes, Six Flags. Yes.
Yes.
It's been Six Flags for many, many years now. And all the indoor parks are still 50% closed. So Mexico City is completely closed. Kitsania, the museums, the FECs in Mexico,
Water
they're all
parks?
closed. Water parks are starting to open, yes, in the Morelos area, with a lot of restrictions, but they're starting to open.
Rene, let me ask you here. You mentioned restrictions. We have spacing, distancing, disinfecting, cleaning, less capacity, limited people. Is it being followed the same way in Mexico?
Absolutely, yes. Reservations, the whole thing. Exactly the same. And we don't know what's going to happen because the big parks are just starting to open now.
Yeah.
So the industry is affected. It's a two-way street. It's not only because of COVID, it's because of the economy. People are hurt, really hurt. They don't have any money to spend.
What is the dollar to the peso? We use that as
21.
a barometer.
21.
21 to 1?
21 to 1.
Wow. Is that the highest it's ever been?
No, it's been up to 25.
Wow. How long ago would that have been?
No, 6 months ago, it went up to 24, 25.
Okay.
Yes, but it went down to 21. And the dollar is stabilized till today because it's been there for, between 18 and 21, it's been there for the last 3 years now. So that is stabilized. What we don't know is what's going to happen with the uncertainty of what's really going to happen, because everybody was expected to be a 3-month situation, then a 5-month situation. We're into 8 months now, and now the COVID is picking back again. And Mexico City Mayor is terrified. She doesn't want to open the zoos. She doesn't want to open anything, and she's scared to death. She warned everybody that if the cases don't go down, she will go back to red again. If she goes back to red, it's crazy.
Who in Mexico, what organization, body manages the implementation, oversees these restrictions? Who sets forth the guidelines in Mexico?
Yes, we have really every state moves its own way. Mexico City has its own policy, and it has nothing to do with Jalisco, which Guadalajara is. And yes, we do have a federal that oversees the ministry that oversees everything. But they don't hear him anymore. We're in a moment of crisis that the government is not heard a lot anymore. Every governor is taking its own decisions. Very, very much like the U.S. Very, very much.
It's very interesting. When you and I were talking a couple of weeks ago, I think you brought forth a really interesting aspect, and you were talking about the indoor facilities and the landlords, the shopping centers where they're located. And you were indicating to me that you thought that a change has to happen here. If you don't mind, I'd like you to share your thoughts on that
absolutely.
with our viewers.
Yes, I believe that the industry has come to a moment that it's a very crucial moment for the industry, most specifically to the FECs that are located in shopping centers, which are most of them. And the issue is this: we have to let the landlords understand that we need to change the way we pay the rent. The most important variable, Danny, that the FECs have today is the rent. The rent has always been our most important variable, and it's been there between 20 and 30, leaning more 30 than 20, from our sales. And what is happening today that it's going to affect double is that people are going to be hurt because of the economy. The shopping centers are going to be less visited because of the changing of attitude of the people. People are changing the way of how they buy.
They buy online.
Yes, they buy online. So they're going less and less to the shopping centers. And we are not, we need space because our business has to have space. So the landlords have to understand that they need to change the way we pay the rent. And we need to get, we've been working with IAAPA, with Paulina in Latin America. She's been helping a lot.
Yes.
We're gathering a lot of information of how everybody's moving around Latin America and how everybody's negotiating with the landlords in order for the landlords and how things are moving in Latin America. And what we hear is that we have all kinds of positions. Landlords that they don't want to go 1 cent less in their rent and they don't care less, and landlords that are giving the zero rent because of the pandemic. And that is fine and it's important for us. But what is most important for us is in the years to come, in the months to come, we need to change the attitude towards our business from the shopping centers, from the landlords, so we can go into percentage basis instead of rents.
So are you saying no flat rent figure will give you a percent of our revenues?
Correct. And we have to do that in order for us to survive and for them too. Because in the other hand, Denny, we have the most important opportunity we have ever had. Shopping centers are closing stores. Spaces are there to put a lot of attractions, and they need to understand that, because if they do, we can grow with them. Our business can really grow in the shopping centers. They need to change that. A shopping center should be now an experience of fun, having experiences there. That's going to change a lot worldwide. Yeah. So we have this momentum in the industry where we need to sit down with the landlords and let them understand that if we go into that, we are partners with them, and if we go into percentage basis, we can grow with them and we can help them a lot. But they need to understand this.
Rene,
and for that, we need IAAPA and we need seminars, we need information, we need best practices worldwide, and we really need to sit down with these guys and to educate them, for them to understand. But this is a big momentum for the industry. We need to work on that.
So you're saying we've got a window now that's open.
Correct.
And we have objectives that have to be met, and we have to educate the shopping center landlords. We're experiencing the same thing in America. I mean, we're seeing shopping centers, Rene, go out of business. Yes, literally going out of business. I was joking with someone the other day. I said, when I was a kid, we tore down drive-in theaters, movie theaters, to build shopping centers. Now we're tearing down shopping centers to build drive-in theaters. That's where country western stars and rock stars are putting on their concerts on big screens now, and they're looking for venues. We just give you a good example. We just had a huge NASCAR racetrack here in greater Cincinnati closed last week, seats 110,000 people, and they're going to put concerts on now. No more races. Done.
Oh, yes.
Done. So they're working with not only the landlords, they're working with the concert people. Here's a question that just came in. We'll kind of grab some as they come, okay? Yes. From Juan Carlos, and he says, Rene, what type of attractions do you think will recover the fastest in Mexico? Indoor, outdoor, local attractions, or tourist attractions?
Tourist and outdoor.
Tourist and outdoor. Okay, and why?
Yes, tourists, because the tourists are gonna. We have operations in Cancun. Cancun is recovering. We have a lot of reservations for December. The Americans want to come. They want to go out. They want to go to the beaches, and Cancun is a very good possibility. Even if we are close, more or less close to Europe now. Because if you come to Mexico, for example, you come from the Netherlands, you have to go back and stay in a hotel for 10 days before you can go out. Things like that.
Sure.
But for sure, the tourist attractions are going to come fast, and people feel more safe in outdoors completely. Even if it's not the case, and we see that the parks are very, very high in the dangerous area, as they say. People feel safe in the outdoors. If they go to a zoo, they feel much more comfortable than if they go indoor. And it makes a lot of sense.
Well, I think back to California for just a second, and your point speaks to them. I mean, I think they lost a great opportunity to practice and implementation of their new guidelines, policies, and that's one thing, and teach their employees how to implement these, because we've never done this before anywhere in the world. It's
Right.
you know, it's marching around the world. Then the other side of the coin is, if you will, get the guest reaction to it. So we saw in Florida that the distancing, spacing, less capacity, disinfecting, that didn't bother the guests. They were happy. They didn't mind having their temperature taken when they came in. What they didn't like was the mask.
Yes.
But the parks in Florida and in the Southeast and the Midwest that reopened, they came up with programs and ways to make it more amenable for the guests to wear the mask. And I think we lost that in California. And I think in Mexico, you need that opportunity too, particularly, as you say, I agree with you, the outdoor and the tourists will come back more quickly. The museums, the indoor, the FECs are going to be slower.
But Denny, the mask, I hate the mask. No, everybody hates the mask. We're getting used to the mask.
Yeah.
And we might as well do, because it's not going away.
No.
The mask is here to stay, So for me, I hated the mask, and now I use it every day. And I'm getting used to the mask. So
do your children wear it?
Yeah, well, good question. 2 of my kids already had COVID, so the boys in and out, and they're going out but they have to wear it because Mexico has a lot of failures now, but people are wearing masks. People understand that the mask is important, that it is important. So the people, if you go to a park, you need to wear a mask. People are getting used to it, and that's it. Masks are not going away; they'll stay.
So here's another question that just came in from Pedro. He says, "How have the global travel restrictions outside of Mexico impacted Mexico internally, and in general, also the leisure operators? How and what what are they doing to fight this?"
Look, Cancun runs 60% of the operations from tourist operations in Mexico. Everybody comes to the Riviera Maya and Cancun, 60% of the visitors worldwide that come to Mexico. They're starting to come back, Danny, but it's very slow because there's a lot of restrictions, particularly in Europe and in Canada. So if you come to Mexico from Canada, you have to go back to Canada and stay 14 days in a hotel before you leave. So it's crazy to come. You see what I mean? Yeah. America, no. America, it's you can come in and out, no problem. Several countries in Europe have the same restriction. So what we're doing is we are attacking the Mexican tourists very strong, and it's working. And there's a lot of Americans coming, really. But I'll give you a number. Cancun received 255 flights a day, tourist flights, 255. And today, Cancun's receiving 100 flights. Wow. So we are 60% less.
So we know Orlando does about 77 million in 2019. Las Vegas did high 60s, 68, 69. What would Cancun do annually? 14. 14. That's a huge number.
It is. Yeah. Huge. Cancun has a very, very strong theme park industry.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
Because, here comes another question from, who is that, Pam? I can't read his name. It says, what do you think? What does Rene think will be necessary to put the industry back on track quickly throughout the entire country? In other words, what do you think has to happen to get the industry back on track quickly? Obviously, this is somebody in Mexico who's operating.
We need to sell that we're safe. We need to sell that one. First, we need to open.
Yeah.
Because Mexico City, state of Mexico, and the surroundings of Mexico City are still very, very much restricted. We cannot open. Once we open, we need to see exactly how we know, because of how things are happening inside of Mexico. People are selling between 30 and 50%.
Right.
That's the number, between 30 and 50. So that we know, no?
Yeah.
And then we need to sell the idea that we're safe, we're safe, we're safe. When people feel safe, they will come.
What about the government, though? They're asking two sides there, the government and the people. You're selling to the people it's safe.
Yes.
And it has to be.
And we're talking to the government, but but the government is very scary. These guys are politicians. They don't want to take any risks at all. So there's a lot of industries there that are pushing very strongly to the government, and they're succeeding, like the gym industry, so big, they can push, they can leverage with them. Us, we're very small. We are pushing. We have Paulina again from IAAPA pushing, and we are helping. But they're getting very, very cautious to open the parks, because what they hear that comes from the US is that the parks could be very dangerous. Out of 9, from 0 to 9, we're in number 8.
Number 8.
Parks. We're number 8.
Yeah.
So they're scared to death. So they're going very, very cautiously. And the pandemic is coming back in Europe, and it's also coming back in Mexico. So they are scared to death again. And we're right. We cannot stop anymore, Danny. The world has to move. Whatever it happens, whoever dies, we need to move, because if not, we're going to go bankruptcy completely. People are going to die, but because of not eating, not because of COVID.
Two more questions just pop up on the screen. First one is the Amicoo, AMIKOO project was very interesting. Does Rene know what happened? As they had some really amazing plans. Is it still on the board? Does he know anything about it? Amicoo.
Amico in Cancun. I don't know really what's going on with them. I know that they're moving forward. Of course, I mean, everything that has happened, I mean, stopped a lot of things, a lot of projects. Everybody's standing by to see what the hell is going to happen. No, yeah. It's not only us, it's the banks, it's the investors, everybody's standing by, no? So I'm sure that
what was the project, Rene? What is the basis of that project? I read about it, but I don't remember actually.
It's a beautiful project in Cancun, Mexico. And it has a water park, and it has a lot of big and beautiful attractions, but it's still in the stage of project. It hasn't been started formally yet. And the change of government in Mexico, plus all this crisis, and I'm sure that are taking the cautionary moves, but as I understand, the project is moving ahead.
Another one from Dan. Let me see that one, Pam, please. It says, Rene, do you have RSVP systems for your parks? Is that prominent in Mexico? Reservations for lines and things.
The big Six Flags, for example, is doing it by reservation. They're doing it, no, I think in the US as well. Mexico for sure. We run FECs, we run big wheels. In our case, we're not doing reservations, but the big parks are doing reservations.
Now, when you say reservations, is that to come to the park or within the park for the rides and attractions?
To come to the park.
Okay. Now, a lot of parks here in the US, started with that, but quite frankly, the people weren't ready to come back yet. And when that happened, they opened the gates to everyone.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure they're going to do it then, but they're going to start by that, see what happens, and then move forward.
Another question from, I think, Brazil. It says, here in Brazil, we've been hit the hardest with 5.2 million cases, and we've had 154,000 deaths. The good news is there, he says, 4.7 million have recovered from it. What do you see, and what have you heard from your friends in South America as it relates to the industry on a scheduled basis? Is it coming back quickly, or because of the mask, will it be longer?
The numbers that we have today is that the industry in Mexico and in most Latin American countries is moving between 30 and 50% of sales. That's what's happening today. We're expecting that by December, we should be 60s, maybe a little more. We're going to be hit by the economy as well, not only COVID, but the economy. The uncertainty is so high, we're going to start going into the winter now. What's going to happen with the winter? It's COVID coming back. Are the politicians going to get nervous? They're going to start closing back again? I mean, it's such an uncertainty today that we are not clear what's going to happen. What is clear to us is that eventually, 3-4 months from now, when the vaccine comes and whatever it happens, and then the winter goes, we're going to be hit strongly by an economical crisis.
Yeah. Well,
Mexico, 12 million people went out of job.
I don't know if you've had the opportunity to talk with Marcelo Goodclass or Alain Baldacci, our good friends down in Brazil. Have you had any conversation with them, what the impact has been for them? I mean, they're two of the leaders in Brazil.
Yes, they're starting to open. A lot of businesses are still closed. Their numbers are between 30 and 50 in the businesses that are open. It's a big uncertainty, Denny. I mean, nothing is happening really, really strong in Latin America yet. The parks are starting to open little by little. And remember, it is important to remember that we are not the US. We are really, really being hit strongly by the economics of this whole thing. It's affecting the people's pocket tremendously. And that is going to affect our leisure industry, that's for sure.
And here's another one from Jim. It says, Rene, based on your comments about the focus on outdoor entertainment, do you think that Latin America has an advantage over much of the world, put the politics aside, he said, due to being the industry leader for attractions? He said that leverage the natural elements such as done by Xcaret. Should that business model be a major area of future investment for both private and public funds? Natural.
Interesting.
Yeah,
yes.
Good question.
Yes, it is a good question. Yes, I believe so. I mean, Danny, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if people are going to change up to that the parks are not interesting anymore. We don't know that. I mean, we strongly believe that the people are going to come back and the numbers are going to come back. But to have this view, to change the criteria, and to do more natural things, that's a very good idea. I think it should work a lot. We do have a lot. You know, Xcaret does that.
Oh yeah. Are they functioning full?
Yes, they are
right
functioning
now?
full. They are functioning full.
With
a very, very, very interesting model, because a lot of people believe that we have to put our prices down and to do a lot of promotions. Cancun has 50% down all the hotels to get people in, and it's working. but not Xcaret. Xcaret believes that we have to have the quality and have the price there. And it's working, and it's working good. Fine. This is interesting because in our industry, in my case a lot, we believe that we have to put prices down in order to get people in. And Xcaret believes that quality is first, and we have to stay there and not put the price down. And it's working for them. It is important for people to know in Latin America that we don't have to necessarily work with the price to get people in.
You don't have to discount.
That's Xcaret is doing it, and it's working well for them. People are paying full price.
I've lost track of what they do in attendance a year, but what is the Xcaret? What's the rate?
The Xcaret group does more than 3 million visitors a year.
That's what I thought. It was 3 million. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
not only Xcaret, they have 9 operations then. Yeah?
No, I know they do. Yeah.
No, yeah, a beautiful operation. Yeah. They run a quality operation, unbelievable.
I remember when I first went to Cancun and Xcaret years ago, they had the greatest billboard I've ever seen. As you came out of the airport, it said, after you visited Xcaret, be sure to see Cancun.
Don't forget to visit Cancun.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a wonderful piece. And it was historical. Stay there. Yes, it's fantastic.
That was as good as the Big Apple for New York.
Yes, because Miguel, the owner of one of the partners of Xcaret, it's a very bright marketing mind. Very, very bright.
It was
He always thinks out of the box and he does fabulous things.
Questions are rolling in, and we've got about
Please.
18 minutes left, so I want to hit you with some of these. This is from Phyllis. It says, most people in the U.S. are under the impression that you can't go to Mexico, but we do hear that Cancun is open and busy. She asked, is there an organization, kind of touches on what we had earlier, that's really promoting Mexico governmentally, and that it's open and can travel, you can travel to it, or is it only open in certain states of Mexico? You said they're all different.
No, yes, the tourist attractions are open in Mexico. Cancun is open for business completely. It is interesting, that question, because we had a very, very strong structure in Mexico to get visits in the tourism. But when the new president came, he decided to cut all those expenses. As I was telling you, he's very short with the money, and he decided to cut everything down. And one of the things he cut was the travel group that was the group that was helping. So yes, we need to announce more, to do much more noise in the US that we're open for business. That is absolutely true. And now the hotels are doing the job instead of the government doing it, because the government decided to leave. Now the hotels are doing it, and they're doing a good job. But as you can see, it's not enough.
Yeah,
we have to fight for that.
Another question, Rene. It says, Rene, do you think this is from Sarah, do you think there will be a reduction of restrictions when a vaccine becomes available locally in Mexico? Is the Mexican, Latin American recovery strongly dependent on this and the tourism opportunities?
Tourism opportunities and the free trade agreement with the US and Canada. Those are the two big things for Mexico. That's for sure. Of course, when the vaccine comes, if it really works, well, then we're going to start getting to recovery, and to normality. We're expecting that to happen, no?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course, I believe that when things are getting to normal, back to normal again, then restrictions will go little by little, but they will go, no? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, there are two main things for Mexico for us to recover. One is the tourism area, and the other one is the free trade agreement with the US and Canada.
Question I have for you is, I know you talk to your friends throughout Latin America, and I was just wondering how our good friend Gerardo Artiego's doing down in Chile. Have you heard about his business, how he's holding up? And
yes,
I haven't talked to him.
No, they're being helped a lot by the government.
Okay.
A lot, even with the salaries.
Subsidization.
Yes, like the US. They've been helping, the money coming in to pay salaries, to pay rents. They're helping a lot. It's not the case in Mexico, but in Chile it is. They're starting to open little by little, no? And they've haven't been hurt as much. They have been hurt, of course, because the Chilean government is a very, very pro-business government, and they really understand they have a fabulous president there. I mean, the president understands what's going on, and he reacts immediately. No?
Mm-hmm.
It's less politics and more help people
business.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It would be that sounds like it would be comparable to our PPP program that we had.
Yes.
It saved a lot of companies. If this continues on, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but
a lot of companies in Mexico are going to go bankruptcy because of this thing.
Yeah.
No help at all. Zero.
Here's one from Roberto. He said, Rene, how resilient are the Mexican people in bouncing back from COVID-19? First part. And what's the attitude of most people? Are they scared? The ones who are unaffected? How would you describe the general marketplace of the people? Good question.
It's a very good question. And the answer is very clear. We are the most resilient guys in the world. We've been living in crisis all of our lives.
Do I know Pancho Villa?
Yes, we had dinner together. Yes, and it's a very good question, because people in Mexico are starting, everybody's moving, Danny. Nobody's in their homes anymore. They put the mask on and they go to work. We need to move. You know what I mean? And people are getting less and less scared going out. Eh?
Yeah, here's a follow-up on that. It says, this is interesting. I'm interested in your answer. It says, what is the real count of population in Ciudad de Mexico, and what is the pollution standpoint, and how does that affect COVID?
So pollution, the pollution situation in Mexico City has gone really, really down in the last 10 years. We had a very, very big problem many, many years ago, but we really went and attacked the problem and really, really solved it a lot. Pollution is not an issue. It is a polluted city, of course, but not very highly anymore. Eh? We used to be one of the toppest in the world, but not anymore. And the other side of the question was, I'm sorry?
Was what is the true population of Mexico City?
Okay. Mexico City itself is 9 million. Mexico City metropolitan area is 23 million.
23 million now.
Yes. Yeah. The metropolitan area. Mexico City is 9.
Trafico?
So what do you think? Eh?
Trafico? What's the traffic?
Traffico, yes, Traffico.
Yeah, everywhere.
We don't have a lot of traffic, but we do have now because people are really going out there. I mean, we've been 8 months and nobody's supposed to. Who's going to stay for 8 months sitting in their home? Impossible. People are moving, and they're getting precautions and masks and this and cleaning your hands. But people are moving. Eh? We need to get back to business. We cannot be enclosed anymore.
Here's a really good question, Rene, and I will preface by saying, prior to you being on I'm4FUN podcast, we've had Jim Shea from Premier Rides who spoke about the vendor, supply, manufacturer side and the impact that it's had on their side, because nobody was talking about that. We were only talking about operators. Then we had Keith James from JRA, and Keith talked about the design pipeline, and there was a lot of work for 10 years, but that pipe is dried up now. And then most recently we had Rick Hunter from ProSlide, and Rick was talking about the water park industry globally, the challenges and opportunities. And this question is from Hector, and he says, please ask Rene, what happened to Chipotle Park? What is its current status? And what is its future?
Very good question.
Chipotle. You might explain to some of the viewers what happened there.
Yes, absolutely. Chipotle Park a year ago had an incident. 2 people died in a triple loop by Schwarzkopf, and the park was closed. And eventually, the city decided to take the concession out of the owners and to put it into public licitation. That means a new company to get it and to invest and to whole new owners, the old owners out, and a new group coming in. 8 groups went to this public licitation. I hear that there are 2 left or so. It's going to be present. We are not. Our company is not. It's not playing in the group. We're not one of the groups that is playing.
You're not in the game?
We are not in the game.
Okay.
There are two groups, I think 2 or 1 now. We don't know in the end who's going to be. But next week, they have to put the final presentation. And then the city will decide by November the 25th who's going to win in order to do the investment and to run the park again. We'll see what happens.
And Rene, I saw an early RFP on that. Does the winning bidder have to invest significantly in the park?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely.
You know what the guidelines are there?
Well, I think that at least $20 million and up, and I don't know, but it has to completely renew the park, and it's a big decision. It's not because of the situation, not any, because the park has an excellent location, but you need to take risks now and to see what's good, and to put money, to really put big bucks on it, not small, not peanuts. You have to really put money on it. So we'll see how it goes. No, next week is a formal presentation. See who shows up, and then 30 days from there, the city will take a decision.
Another question. You ready? This is from Pedro. He says there may be attractions that will close as a result of the pandemic short term. Do you think that provides opportunity for new attractions to fill these voids when things do turn around? And will there be just people who parks who go out of business?
Well, certainly there are going to be a lot of people that will go out of business, and of course, when a bunch of people go out of business, the ones who survive and stay, they're strengthening their position. No, that's for sure, because there's less competition. No, so yes, absolutely. I mean, if 30% of the business goes out, the ones who stay and who survive, they will strengthen their position for sure.
This is a funny one coming in from our good friend, our amiga at Premier Ride, Sarah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she says, I love her. She says, does Monica have a favorite mask? Where can she buy it? I'm certain that it's high fashion and costs you a lot of money.
No, she doesn't. She got a white one. That's it. Well, I'm sure Sarah has one Louis Vuitton one. That's for sure.
Here's another good question. This is it says, what does Rene think what was the situation with Mexico from a positive, negative standpoint industry pre-COVID? We know the COVID situation, and what does he think the future looks like?
Pre-COVID situation, the industry was really booming. Yeah, I mean, by booming, I'm saying very important operations opened up. 2 new parks from Xcaret, operation in Monterrey, Mexico, state of the art. Happyland in Mexico growing strongly. I mean, everybody was moving ahead, no? Things were happening, even with the economy that was slowing down, still was a lot of positive investments and things happening, no?
And
a lot of things happening.
So what, and the second part of that question is, once we're through this, how long do you think it will take to bounce back, and will it bounce back?
22, 23, not before that. Next year is going to be a very complicated year. Very complicated. We're going to come back 22, 23, not before that.
Okay, here's another question. We've only got a few more minutes, so we're going to get these in. And Rene, as I tell all of our guests, we have a lot of questions coming in now from our listeners and viewers, and we won't be able to get to all of them. We'll send those to you.
Yes, please do so.
For you to give us
absolutely
a brief statement, and then we'll put those in the ITPS news like we done with our previous.
Yeah, please do so.
Yeah, and just please do it on a timely basis, amigo.
Well, you know, we're Mexicans, you know that. We take our time.
22, 23. Here's the next question. It says, Rene, looking ahead, we know the USA has a mature theme park market with little room for development of parks. Where is Mexico on this development scale? Is there room for new theme parks, new developments? What about the M&A aspect, mergers and acquisitions? Good question.
Yes, it is a good question. Well,
3 parts.
First of all, we have a park that is developing as we speak in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. It's $1 billion investment. Huge, big operation. $1 billion investment.
Okay.
This is huge, it's big, it's important. It's the Vidanta group, a very, very strong group. And they are developing the park. They are, as we speak, the park is being built, and that's going to be a heavy, heavy park. I don't see theme parks, Danny, being developed inside the country, but I see them in the tourist areas. I do. For example, this one in Puerto Vallarta, Cancun is always moving because of the visitors and the per caps there.
Sure.
In the end, our business is all of our per caps, no? And the per caps, you get them from the tourists, because Mexico has always been hurt because of our low per caps. No?
Well, it actually starts with spinning the turnstile, getting people there, right? Then
Correct,
per cap,
correct.
yeah.
Yes, correct. So yes, I see theme parks, but not inside Mexico, not in Mexico City. I see them, but I see them in the tourist areas, Puerto Vallarta, Cancun, those areas.
Scroll back to that a moment, would you, Pam? And there were two more parts. That the other one was on the. Do you see room for new types of development, smaller, like indoor attractions?
Yeah, that I do a lot. Not now, Danny.
Okay.
Everybody is in a survival mood now. Survival mood. Nobody's moving. We'll see what happens. Let's see how the pandemic goes, and then we start putting money in new investments. Everybody's in a surviving mood. Nothing is happening.
So let me ask you that on a capital planning basis, we've been talking in some of our past podcasts about now's a great time to actually continue the planning because you have time to meet with your staffs. And as you said, like our friend at Esquire, think out of the box and get some things down on paper. But in terms of putting pesos down, nothing for how long do you think?
Well, the projects that have been, for example, we're building a new wheel in Cancun. It's opening in 30 days. We've been putting the money that's been needed in order for it to open. We are opening a Replace Believe It or Not museum in Cancun as well. Well, we've finished the process and we're going to open. What all the projects that were there already and happening, they're going to happen, no? The money was there already, a lot of investment. People are finishing them. But for new investments, till the situation is clear, till everything has happened and the pandemic is gone, then people are going to start to react again. I don't see people really moving forward and pouring a lot of money in investments before the situation is clear, Dennis. It's a lot of uncertainty today. There's still a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, no, it's, I agree with you 100%. And it's basically the way it is here in the US. I mean, we've had CEOs of some of the major operators say, look, we're postponing, we've canceled, and we're holding on capital expansion for right now because we have to service our debt first before we can. But we know, and we've learned this for the last 67 years since Disney opened, that people come back because of CapEx, because of our new.
Yes, absolutely. Then we need to do that.
Yeah,
we have to open first, and we need to have a definition from nothing. Dennis, we've started 18 months ago when still the position is we're nowhere. Where are we in COVID? COVID is there. It's coming back. No vaccine. I mean,
yeah, we're
still in the middle of nowhere here.
Well, Rene, believe it or not, this has been a very fast hour. It is 11 a.m. Eastern time. And I want to thank you, my buen amigo.
My pleasure, Danny. It's always good to be with you.
Yeah, you're a great guy. You're a great family man. You've been a leader in our industry since you entered it, and we appreciate that. You've never held back or shrunken from meeting a situation head on, whether it was on the board of directors of IAAPA or in Mexico with ALAP and AMAP. So we appreciate that. I want to thank our viewers and listeners. I always like to close with a couple of things. I like to say that if we don't have fun, how can we sell fun? It's important. That's the business we're in. And as I've told all of my good friends like Rene for years, we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. And to you, amigo, I've always said, ride the crest of the wave while you can. It's a lot more fun on the top than down on the bottom.
Absolutely.
But we work in a great industry. We don't put smoke in the skies. We don't contaminate the streams. at the end of the day, what do? We put smiles on people's faces, and we make wonderful memories that last a lifetime. So with that, I want to thank you one more time, Rene.
Thank you, Danny. I just want to say one
viewers.
last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to congratulate you for your program. I think it's a great idea. You should do it for the months and for the years to come. The industry needs to have a guy like you explaining so we can understand what the hell's happening worldwide. Thank you, Danny. It's a great idea. Congratulations.
Thank you, Rene. We try to be honest and put it out there. Want to remind our guests that November 4th, we have Jane Cooper, President and COO of the Hershen Family Entertainment. She's coming on, and she's going to be followed by Roland Mack. Roland Mack's going to come on November 18th. He's going to talk about Europe. He's going to talk about the operators and the manufacturers. And we have a lot of people lined up. We don't want to overwhelm you right now, but please tune in. You'll see our blasts coming out, and I hope we're not overburdening you with them, but I know we all have a lot on our plate. So I'm going to say thank you and goodbye. Rene.
Thank you, Danny. See you then.
Adios, amigo.
Okay,
Hasta
bye-bye,
luego.
Adios.